you. I'm Suman Gorachala, and I'm Senior Director Product Management. I am responsible for FortiGate wireless controller module, FortiAP hardware, software releases, and everything to do with FortiGate managed access points. Okay, and I would like to say this is one of the features which we have started supporting on the FortiAP, and I would like to say proudly that we are one of the leaders or one of the first vendors who are supporting security. Security as a SASE security support for FortiAP on the AP itself. So some of this material you might see will be little on a roadmap side too. Some of them are already implemented, some of them being on roadmap. So first, let's see what are the current challenges, what it took to come to a solution on a FortiSASE, which is supported on FortiAP by itself. So one being the pre-COVID, post-COVID, the digital transformation which has happened, where most of the on-prem solutions, etc., has been moved from on-prem to cloud-based solutions. SaaS became a real concept where people have moved to a software as a service solution, and also the hybrid work culture, which has changed the entire dynamics of the market, where most of them now work from home, and so the remote user concept has increased. And you see, because of all these changes, the ransomware risk has increased by around 70 to 75% over the years, starting 2020. So there is a need for protecting remote users' data, applications, and cloud access, whatever they've been using over the past. So that is where the pragmatic journey for us to take SASE to the FortiAP has come into play. So we are going by what Chris has already mentioned. We are working towards the convergence of networking and security into one concept, where we are giving a solution with networking added to sort of a security aspect to it. In terms of networking, like our FortiGates, which can be on-prem or cloud solutions. It can be SD-WAN on FortiGates, which is on networking piece of it. And on the security side, we have our firewalls and also a cloud-based firewalls, hardware firewalls, which is our FortiGate. All these put together, now we need to come up with something where we need to support the remote users, not only on the wired level, but also on the wireless level. When they actually try connecting to SSID, now you're differentiating it and directly moving all the traffic from that FortiAP towards your SASE servers, towards your data centers, and classifying the traffic and applying security policies on it. So that's where our journey starts on SASE towards the AP side. So what are the key business outcomes, or what we talk about Fortinet single vendor on a SASE mode? Like what I mean by that is, we want consistent security postures and policies all across our product line. Like it can be done on-prem, it can be done on a cloud-based solution. All these need to be configured, pushed from one point, and single pane of glass. That is where the consistent security posturing is very important. So this will minimize the attack surface, and you're globalizing everything from one point of product solution. That is one, and giving user a better experience. Like it can be number of branch points you are connected to. It can be your branch points are managed by physical FortiGates, cloud solutions, etc. In all these cases, you're routing through SD-WAN architecture. Networking is a bigger picture. So security comes into play, and you need a better user experience. And this all can be seen in our FortiSASE solution on a cloud solution as such. And in terms of operational efficiency, there are multiple point products which we talked about. All these will have now moved towards a OpEx-based model in terms of pricing. So we are working towards reducing the cost of ownership for the administrator or for the customer in this aspect by giving a one-point solution on this. So What are the features overall by doing this? We already talked about convergence, being networking and security being converged into one product solution, and simplicity. Simplicity of the networking policies, where we have agent-based solutions. For the same SASE solution, we have agent-based, agentless. We will cover about the two differential factors in the next slides. So that is one. And in terms of consistent security everywhere, we talked about it in terms of on-prem versus remote. You can manage networks with FortiGate sitting on your premises at your branch point, or directing all your traffic back to the cloud. There are two architectures which we talked about. So all this can be consistently driven from one point solution, which is what we are, which is single vendor concept. And real-time threat protection. So all our FortiGate or Fortinet product, security products, are backed up by FortiGuard services, which is again backed up by AI. So that is the real-time protection. We keep updates, connecting or contacting the FortiGuard services on a timely basis, and getting the up-to-date real-time stats. And in terms of user experience, visibility, we have worked towards unifying everything at single login or single SASE solution, where you can configure all the thin edge products. You can configure the SD-WAN products, everything on the SaaS solution.
Hey, Sumant, I know we have a lot of FortiSpeaks. You want to quickly just establish what FortiGuard is?
So our FortiGuard is an intelligent AI-driven database of our IPS, antivirus, and all this signature set, and it is real-time support, which is extended to all our security solutions. So we have a real-time activity performed on the FortiGuard, and which is always pushed to all the security modules. Okay, so coming back to FortiSASE architecture. So in terms of the FortiSASE architecture, this is how it is. In terms of support, we are trying to support secure remote workers in the sense, like if it can be your laptop or mobile, you install an agent, which is a Forti client agent on your mobile. This will take you to or connect you to the FortiSASE architecture on the back end. The next one is our Forti extender, which is the 4G, 5G dongle support, which is an external WAN link support on 4G or 5G dongle, supported on the FortiGate, supported on any other third party which you want to. And the other one which we have added, which we are talking about currently, is wireless, which is the access point by itself, joining this entire ecosystem of FortiSASE. So FortiAP now acts as a SASE endpoint, and all your traffic, which is starting, or which when the user connects to your SSID, not just the Ethernet user, but also the wireless user, is going through the SASE architecture, and it will take you through our cloud-based security and networking convergence module, which has a lot of other features. Like, let's go one after the other. In terms of CASB, which is our SaaS-based solution for cloud access security broker, where you will define policies, you will classify the policies, and push it across your solutions or your networking elements, one. And for web-based, you have secure web gateway as a SaaS product, and also firewall as a service. These are one of our solutions for SaaS modules. And in terms of private app, in terms of app detections, like we talked about, any of your specific apps like AWS, Azure, or data centers where the traffic needs to be diverted, then your SD-WAN or zero-touch network access comes into play. So these are all something which are converged on top of your security and networking, so to make it and give customer a single vendor solution as such. So when we see some screenshots of how the SASE architecture looks, how it is being deployed, I'll show you how it will work. So here we saw some of them being agent required, where you need to install it on your client. And some of them where you don't need an agent, you can directly connect and it'll automatically take you through the secure aspect of it. So another pictorial representation of how we do give internet access to the remote users. So here the clients we are talking about, the users or clients, laptops or your handheld devices, anything. If they're not installed with a Forti client, it is still good enough if you're connecting to a SSID, which is pushed through SASE, meaning if an SSID is a SASE supported SSID, then your traffic is tunneled back to your SASE ADC application delivery engines, and then it is pushed to any of your services which you have opted. Like it can be secure access for your internet or secure access for your applications or data. So that is so we are making sure our remote users are safe, and we in terms of secure access through internet. So if you notice here, we take care of a lot of aspects like deep packet inspection, end user activity, monitoring and prevention based on the anomalies, and also we have malware and ransomware prevention, and we do have agentless solutions and also agent based. So FortiAP falls into a thin edge solution where we also can apply zero trust network access in a way that any user can come and join to this SSID. They're already going through a lot of security aspects, which policies, which you're pushing from this SASE solution as such. The next one, secure private access. This is basically for your app access. For example, in your corporates, when you're connected from a remote location, you want to you want to connect to your HQ, you want to connect to your data centers or any other applications which are specific to your company. Then you can configure and push these policies to the SSID level. In that case, you will know this particular user, when connected to this specific SSID, will need to be routed to this SaaS-based solutions, secure private access SaaS solution. So for in terms of networking side, we have on-prem SD-WAN integration, which is a single point of configuration and security aspect on the FortiGate by itself. That is fully integrated with the FortiGate, and yeah. So the next one is access for visibility and control, which is our cloud apps. So some of the cloud apps which any organization would be utilizing. So we need those to be safe. The data needs to be safely accessed, and we need to take care of any malicious apps being accessing your network or your user space. So that's where deep packet control and control of these apps is more important. And for this, we have CASB, which is our cloud access security broker agent, which will reroute the traffic from SASE solution to this CASB, and then it'll do the detection and configuration based on what you have pushed. Okay, let's see some screenshots of what is currently in beta. Like if you see, our dashboards are more or less very similar to what we see in most of our presentations. We are all in a similar design format so that it is easy and flexible for any customer to move from product to product as such. And in SASE, we have added for thin branches, we have FortiAPs, which we have added recently, Forti extenders, which we have been there, and FortiGates, which are our firewalls.
Okay, so this is another appliance or a product.
Yes, this is a
VM
yes.
or.
Yeah, it is a SaaS-based solution. It is a product, a cloud-based solution.
But it's in the cloud only.
Yes, it's cloud only.
There's no on-premise option at all.
No.
On-premise
option. So the entire SASE concept is a cloud-based concept, which is a convergence of security and networking put together.
Yeah.
So the purpose of it is to safeguard user content or give more security aspect on remote users as such. So the transition which we talked about, that is showing a need for us to move towards this and come up with a wireless support on a SASE level. Yeah.
And is it just one SASE module, or do we turn on and off based on licenses?
So, okay, the SASE by itself is a module. So I'll go through the licensing, but it is user-based, number of users, and it is bandwidth-based, like how much bandwidth you want per user. For example, you have 500 remote users connecting all across America, right? So each one can be, I mean, it is subscription based on the number of users for the entire SASE solution, one. The second is based on the bandwidth of the user. So if you want 5 Mbps for you and a 25 Mbps for another user on the other side of the region, so that is calculated per SKU. That is one concept. So we also do something called pooling or proxying of like a burst mode, in the sense like if you are in a branch, so we can pool all the users' data and limit it to your SKU. For example, you want the entire branch to only have 50 Mbps. So then it will be number of users, but still limited by 50 Mbps as a backbone. So that's it. So yeah, any other questions? Okay. So the simplicity I was talking about, where at one place you can configure most of the aspects, like in this case, in the network aspect or in the thin branch aspect, we have the main thin edge modules like access point, extenders. This can be an on-prem solution or a cloud-based solution. For example, FortiGate, we have both solutions. You can have a FortiGate on the branch office. You can also have a same FortiGate in a cloud-based solution like a firewall as a service on the cloud. So in both the cases, the security aspect of it will be the same. All this can be configured from one point, single point of single pane. So in terms of access point, the moment the access point comes up, so you give a FQDN address where it will go find this particular URL or address and connect to that particular SASE instance. So once it connects to the SASE instance, your configuration pushes all the config to your AP, and the AP, which is broadcasting a specific SSID, which is SASE enabled in this sense. So in that case, all the traffic which is going through that SSID is already secured, in the sense entire traffic is going through a VPN tunnel from AP to a SASE instance or at a SASE data center. That's where the data classification happens. And depending on what other services you have added, it can be secure internet access, it can be secure private access or app access. Depending on the services you have added, the traffic is classified and going to wherever it is being redirected. So basically, we are provisioning and pushing all the security to the edge on the wireless side as such.
And that SASE enabled AP,
yes,
that's configured in the traditional way, and then it's just what, a checkbox to then go to the SASE instance?
Yeah. So currently, AP can be, it's our thin AP, right? The AP can be managed in various ways. It can be managed traditionally by our physical FortiGate, which is our firewall, which has a wireless module within a FortiGate or a firewall at no extra cost as such. I'm just reiterating it, no extra cost, because it comes as an additional module. So that is one. The other thing is you also have the same FortiGate on a cloud for a firewall as a service concept. The next thing is this SASE, where you can manage. So in all these aspects, the AP, once it comes up, it will go through a rigorous cycle of finding which controller to be managed by. So one can be a cloud, the other can be a FortiGate, which it is directly connected on the LAN side. The third can be SASE.
But specifically for the SASE enabled,
yes,
I would be managing it through the SASE instance and not through the FortiGate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you can, in either or, you can manage in either or of the concept. So the discovery process will define which you need to make it connected to, for example. Yeah. So so here you, in this aspect, you are pre-authorizing the AP by giving the AP serial number and authorizing it with some profile and the password for login and credentials. So that is the pre-authorization piece. It can be spread all across America or any other region. You can have all the APs connect back to one data center or one SASE solution in terms, but internally we will be having multiple instances where it will be connected to. Okay, the next one is the similar to what you have seen in our firewall wireless controller modules, where you have WTP profiles, I mean, which is the AP profile, we call it. So in AP profile, you can also go create SSIDs, create the limits on radio specific SSID, what is the client limit. You can also create policies and the security aspects of all the SSID level requirements. Okay, and in terms of dashboard, from the same SASE portal, you can see what are the number of APs connected all across the regions, what is the point of presence, like example, where they are located, and how are they located, etc. And in terms of online and offline, if any AP goes offline, then it will be stated here to what level and what is the status of the current operational excellence. That is one. And yeah, we also have how many, in terms of how many APs or how many thin edge devices are connected. It can be 40 gates or 40 switches or 40 extenders. All this you can see a data about it. And this is one of the ones which is in the beta phase. So it's still yet to be launched. But we have introduced this overall solution in our Accelerate 2023 recently, and AP already supports it in both formats. One managed via FortiGate, one. The second one through cloud in the roadmap. Yeah. Okay. And last one, coming back to licensing, we talked about. So it is simple per user licensing, as we talked about. Number of users. There is slabs on it, and based on the slab, it's 0. I mean, it can be 50 to 99, 100 to 501, etc. These are the slabs, for example. So it will be per user based licensing, and we also have tier based approach. So as the business grows, if you want to add on with some additional SKUs, then you can keep adding on in terms of bandwidth, in terms of users, etc. It is just an add-on SKU. You can take it into consideration. And the next one is we talked about the bandwidth pooling and the branch points.
What's the behavior if you exceed a bandwidth license?
So it will be restricted to that bandwidth, but if you want to there'll be some sort of a leeway, but not more, right? Like you cannot exceed for sure.
So when you say bandwidth, it's not data volume. You're talking you as an organization have 100 megabit per second going to the SASE instance, or 200 or 300.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we can do it in user level. And also we can do it also as a branch level. Like you said, the overall SASE solution level, that is one bandwidth control. The other one is the user level. For example, on a wireless space, you want to limit the user to 2.5 or 5 Mbps or 10 Mbps, right? In that thing, you can restrict it on that particular space.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can also do on a branch level. For example, the robustness, I mean to say the bandwidth pooling mechanism. Like you have 10 users connected in one specific branch, but you want to limit it to 5 Mbps. Like even if not all the 10 users are using every day, probably 5 people come to office, 3 people come to office in a specific day. You want to limit it to 5 Mbps, 10 Mbps, you can limit it. And it will be pooled, which will be calculated. It's not per user basis.
Got it.
So you can do multiple options in that.
So a couple things, Suman.
Sure.
One, just for clarity.
Yeah.
The APs that you're talking about here, same APs that can be used for anything else?
Yes. As I explained earlier, the same AP, which is our AP, FortiAP, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E, whatever the solution you have, most of them can enable this queue on a software level, and then it'll go connect to the SASE instance and do the same. You can configure through the SASE instance, push it to the AP, the SSID, and then you can connect to the SSID.
And then
Yeah, sure.
And then what you're talking about here with the SASE licensing, that's the SASE system, correct?
Yes.
This is not unique in any way to FortiAP.
Yeah, so this is more towards the SASE system. We are also having a SKU based on FortiAP for user-based licensing. Yes.
Can you help me clarify the licensing so far from everything we've seen holistically today? If I wanted to have a Forti licensed network environment, I would have FortiManager, FortiGate license. I would have FortiAI Ops, FortiAI Monitoring, FortiSASE, and the VM perpetual license. well. So that's, I think I'm at 6 or 7 licenses.
I think it's good. So to a certain degree, it's going to depend on what you want to deploy. So let's start really simple. Let's start with kind of a core network, which the
I'm building a network on what we've seen today.
Sure. So one thing that you would, the core network for us typically would be some FortiAPs with a FortiGate. No license is necessary on the FortiGate to manage APs. So
Right.
I
But
bought
you would have a license for your support and for,
if you wanted support, you'd buy FortiCare.
right.
Again, surprise, surprise, FortiCare. For that, sure. So if you wanted, you know, our premium FortiCare or whatever level of FortiCare you wanted with quick return of devices or whatever you wanted, yes. If you just needed to be able to manage it and deal with it, there's no additional management licenses necessary. Now, like we talked about, hey, I want to do this at scale. I've got, you know, 500 FortiGates spread across a number of sites. And so I really need to be able to centrally manage all this. So I want FortiManager to handle all my, you know, provisioning and configuration. Then yes, I'm going to buy FortiManager, and then I'm going to license FortiManager per FortiGate. Because in a sense, FortiManager just cares about the gates. That's all it is directly managing, because the gate is therefore managing everything downstream. So by managing the gate, I am de facto managing all the switches and APs that are downstream from that gate. So as long as I have licensed my FortiManager for those FortiGates, I'm done. So now I've bought FortiManager and I've got that. Now maybe you say, hey, look, you know, I saw Alex's presentation. I bought it. I get it. I want it. I want to be able to do that monitoring and troubleshooting, and I want those AI insights as well. Other people may not. Other people may say, look, I just want to be able to configure it and I'm done here. But if you want to be able to do some of the troubleshooting features that Alex talked about, and then you want to be able to have those AI insights, then I'm going to add next to my FortiManager, I'm going to put in FortiAI Ops. I'm going to purchase that. I'm going to subscribe. That's a subscription service. I'm going to subscribe to that. And I'm going to pick whatever services I want on that in terms of, do I want troubleshooting that Alex talked about? Do I want AI insights, or do I want both? And purchase and subscribe to that as I want to. You get a choice whether or not you want that or not. Pair that up next to my FortiManager, as Alex was talking about. I can leverage some of the same data pulls that it's already pulling for my security appliances. I can do that. At that point, I have a fully functional network. FortiSASE, I'm not going to say is a completely different structure, but it is a different way of building and thinking about your network. So if I am somebody who's thinking more SASE based, then maybe not all my sites have gates. And maybe what I'm really doing is I'm leveraging FortiSASE as a cloud-based security for a lot of my sites. And I can either put endpoints, as he was talking about. I can just have endpoint modules on my employee laptops. So when they're working from home, they're hitting SASE or working from their local coffee shop. I can use a FortiGate and maybe my HQ. So I can use a FortiGate as a SASE endpoint for when I come into a large building. I may have a FortiGate there handling everything, and it may act as that SASE endpoint. So my wireless and my wired may be reporting into that FortiGate who's controlling those, but the FortiGate is then a SASE endpoint for passing everything to SASE if I want that. But maybe I have some small, you know, sales offices or something, and really all I need there, they're pretty small. I want a single wireless access point there. And I consider that good enough for that small office. And so I just want to stick out exactly what Sumantha is showing here. I just want to send a FortiAP there, and that's just going to report back to FortiSASE directly. And so anybody who wanders in there, they connect through there. I may have some other wireless devices in that environment. They can just leverage that SASE tunnel as well. That's all done. So in that case, I would be buying FortiSASE. I would be licensing it through whatever means I wanted for SASE. So that in some senses, I'm going to be thinking about how I want to license SASE for my users, as Sumantha was kind of hinting at. There's a lot of decisions to be made there. We try to offer a lot of flexibility in terms of how you want to handle that in terms of your SASE licensing, but you're going to make those choices. And one of those options would be, hey, for the number of sales offices I have, then I'm going to license up some APs to act as SASE endpoints for those particular locations. But I'm not going to say they're disparate paths between a full FortiManager, et cetera, but it's really a architectural choice of how you want to go about your security. one thing, and I know we've talked about this at past field days, and it's always a balance of how much do we go into all the different things that Fortinet does. But one thing that we really do here at Fortinet, we don't really believe in trying to shove a particular architecture down anybody's throat. So if you're somebody who, look, I like the SASE model, I want to go SASE, so I want to do SASE. Great, happy to. We have FortiSASE. Here's all the options. Here's what we can do. And now we're adding even just an access point or our extender, 5G LTE gateway product as SASE endpoint so that you have as much flexibility as that architecture you want. If you're somebody, and I was just talking to somebody at an executive briefing last week who, he's like, no cloud, none of it. I want it all on-prem. I want it all locked down. That's fine too. Hey, look, we'll sell you appliances. We'll sell you everything. Nothing ever has to touch the cloud. You're good to go. We're happy to go that entire route with you as well. So we have any architecture that you really want to deploy, and we will support that. I know sometimes that does cause a little bit of a, oh my gosh, so then what am I all buying here, to your original question? So what am I all buying? What all do I have to stack up to have a solution? I think what we come back with as Fortinet is you tell us architecturally where you land, what you believe in, what sort of technology you want to do, and then we can offer you a solution for that. So we're not going to show up and say, cloud, it's all cloud. You got to manage through the cloud. It has to be cloud. At the same time, we're not going to say it has to all be on-prem. And sometimes we get criticized for that. People say, look, I don't want to think. Do you tell me what I should do? And I understand that to a certain extent. But philosophically, we like the idea of we can deal with anybody and we can supply you no matter what your particular philosophy is on how to install, we can supply you with a solution.
So just a point of clarity, if you're going with the FortiSASE, you wouldn't necessarily have the AI ops path as well, right? Those are two separate things.
Today they're completely separate. That is one of the things that Alex was talking about, that this 2.0 structure, as he was kind of hinting at, that gives us a lot of flexibility to then overlay that on some of our other solutions. So we are looking at how we can bring that to bear on other things, and obviously FortiSASE is another thing. Today it is focused on the FortiManager-based solution.
Cool. Thank you.